Welcome, everybody, to WagerTalk Today. I'm Lawrence Presman. We got a great lineup today. Lots of betting information coming your way. Marco D'Angelo is going to start the show, and it's a lot of baseball. He's going to look at Philadelphia and San Francisco, Arizona at Texas. Las Vegas, Cris making a long-awaited appearance. He's going to look at the Boston-Baltimore game and the Cubs in Milwaukee. We're going to end the show with some art. DiCesare. Teddy Covers is my co-host. He's back in his chair. How are you, my friend? I hear a rumor you had tickets for 3 Grateful Dead shows in a row. After the second show, you had nothing left in the tank because you're an old, decrepit man and you did not go to the third show.
Correct. Yeah, we'll talk about it when what bettors learned. And it's important to note, there's a key point I'm going to make during that segment. But also on today's show, I'll be breaking down a big game breakdown, the Mavs and the T-Wolves game for tonight. And when Art DiCesare comes on today, we're going to talk NFL. I love talking NFL over the summer months. I know everybody always joneses for football. We're going to have a bunch of NFL questions. Where's the very first bets coming in the National Football League for 2024? So I'm looking forward to breaking that down with Art DiCesare. But before we get to that, before we get to big game breakdown, before we get to Marco D'Angelo, let's start with Marco D'Angelo. Las Vegas Cris, the $2
I didn't know where you were going. I didn't know where you were going. I was trying to go to Marco, there,
but I ended up going to Cris. But Marco's up first.
How are you, Marco? What's going on?
I'm doing good. How are you guys today?
Well, Teddy realized that he can't handle 3 dead shows in a row, which is bordering on pathetic, especially considering he sits there like this the whole show. There was a rumor he danced for a moment at one of the shows, but let's move on. Nobody cares. Marco, Philadelphia playing San Francisco. I was on San Fran last night, first 5. Cashed that ticket in the bottom of the 5th. Where are we going tonight?
Well, guys, I got to look at this one, and I'm going to look at the Philadelphia Phillies, and this is one of those first 5 inning wagers for me as well. I'm going to lay a half a run in this one to bring the price down on it, bring it down to minus 135. We got Zach Wheeler on the mound for Philadelphia, and in 6 of his last 7 starts, he's allowed 2 runs or less. The Philadelphia offense has scored 4 runs or more in 15 of their last 17 games. It's also one of the big reasons why since April 15th, this has been basically the best team in baseball. 30-8 since tax day back in April. Mason Black's going to get the start for the Giants. He's appeared 4 times in the month of May. 3 of them have been starts. 1 of them has been in a relief appearance, and he has just been a train wreck in the month of May. His ERA in those 4 appearances is 8.79. His whip is 1.95. You can't put 2 guys per inning on base and not have bad things happen. And his biggest problem has been control. His strikeout to walk ratio is just 10-7. That's horrible for him, and that's what's caused that high whip for him. And if I look at this Philadelphia team against right-handers this season, 25-7, but more importantly, they're averaging 5.8 runs per game against right-handers. And San Francisco, following a game where the bullpen gave up no earned runs, they're just 5-13 in their next game. Everything lines up to take the Philadelphia Phillies with Zach Wheeler on the mound, and that's the way I'm going. But I'm going to take the bullpens out of the equation. I think we've got a mismatch with Wheeler versus Mason Black, and we'll go first 5 and lay the half a run to bring the price down.
So I want to talk conceptually here about the Philadelphia Phillies. You know, you talked about how hot they've been. They had the 8-8 start, and then they were 30 and 8-8, and then 30-7 over their next 45 games, or 30-7 over the next 37 games. Geez, I'm rough today. My apologies. But Philadelphia, when they were as hot as they were, we were saying, yeah, I'm not going to step in front of the Phillies while they're this hot. Now they've just lost back-to-back games for the first time during this entire stretch. Is Philly a buy team right now, or is Philly a sell team right now? Because my gut says, after this incredible hot streak for the Phillies, this is a team to sell, not buy at this stage. So talk to me about that concept, Marco.
Well, Teddy, that's a great question because there's always, you want to buy low and sell high, and you try to figure out the markets, which way it's going to go. And yes, they have lost 2 in a row in 3 of their last 4. 2 of the 3 games that they lost in Colorado, you know how tricky Colorado can be, for visiting teams. So I'm not pushing the panic button there. I will say this much again about San Francisco. They're playing good baseball right now, too. So that is a little bit of a concern. But they were late in deciding who they were throwing today. Mason Black, they were undecided for a good portion overnight in this morning. And like I said, Mason Black's not one of their top guys. And I just think in this instance, we've got a pitching mismatch between the 2 starters. And whenever I take a first 5-inning wager, how many times have you seen when a team goes on a long winning streak and then it reverses itself? How many times do they take a lead into the late innings and then the bullpen blows up for that team, where the bullpen was holding leads before, gives them up? I'm taking that part of the equation out. And I just don't see Zach Wheeler having a bad game here. And for me to lose this game, I have to see Mason Black throw a gem. And he has just not been a pitcher that has shown that. Can San Francisco maybe come back and win in the late innings? Maybe, but that's why I'm on the first 5 here. That kind of eliminates the slump buster a little bit that might be coming.
Marco D'Angelo. Marco, you've got a promo going Tuesday. That doesn't make sense.
It's all access today. It's my all access package today. You're going to get all my plays in all sports. One price today. We're bundling it up. And since January, we've been, killing it at, WagerTalk. We're number 3 for the year. And we're up over $9,000 for our clients. So today, rather than just selling our feature game, we're putting it all together in one package. $29. You can get everything today.
That's interesting. I never really watch how other people sell over at WagerTalk. I bundle my plays every single day. What do you normally do?
Sometimes I have just the feature game if that's the premier game of the day. We always have the all access for a day for $39, but today I'm putting it all in there for $29.
Got it. Teddy, what do? Do you separate your plays or you put them all together?
Depends. If I have 3 or more, I'll put them all together and then put up separate packages. If I have 1 or 2 plays, I just post them by themselves.
There we go. Get Marco's all access for Tuesday, $29, and the man is killing it. Okay, brother, Arizona at Texas. I think it's minus 121 for Arizona. I could be wrong. Where are you going here?
Yeah, this line was late getting out today because Texas is still kind of undecided on what they want to do in the starting pitching role. It would have been Dane Dunning's turn. They still haven't confirmed that yet. Might end up being a bullpen day for Texas. But this, for me, is about the situation, and it's about the pitcher on the mound for Arizona. Let's start with the situation. Yeah, it's the first game of the series. It's Texas returning home from a road trip. It's Texas not playing good baseball at the moment, 1-5 on that road trip. And they're playing a team, Arizona, that might just have a little bit of motivation for this series. You know, we talk about, and I say it, hey, you know what? Revenge is the most overused term in sports, but we also put that little asterisk. You always remember who ended your season. And the last time these two teams met up, it was in the World Series last year, Texas beating Arizona to win the pennant, the title last year. And I look for Arizona to be very motivated in this series, especially doing it in front of the Texas crowd. And we've got Brandon Pfaadt on the mound for Arizona. Now, he started the season out with a couple bad outings. Remember, this is a young pitcher. Came in last year, was very good at the end of the season for Arizona, but was on the club from day one this year. And he had a couple bad outings. Since then, he has rolled off seven of his last 9 starts. He's given up 3 or less runs for Arizona. I got that wrong. Sorry, 7 straight. And in those 7 starts where he's given up 3 runs or less, he's gone 6 or more innings in all of those starts. So I look for him to have another good outing. Texas, they've been struggling. 7 of the last 9 games, they've scored 3 runs or less. And that's why this team's not winning baseball games right now. Also, we've got Texas. They did win the last game of that road trip. But this season, following a win, they're just 9-16 on the year. And if that win came by 4 runs or more, which it did, they're just 3-10 in the next game. I just can't back a Texas team that's not playing well right now, not scoring runs right now, can't really decide on a pitcher, so it could be bullpen by committee tonight against a pitcher for Arizona that is pitching extremely well right now. And as I said, the motivational factor of losing to this team in the World Series last year, that lines me up on Arizona in game 1 of this series tonight.
So Pfaadt has been pitching well, but Arizona hasn't been winning for him. I've got the D-backs, 3-6 in his 9 starts since April 1st. And that includes 4 starts where he gave up 3 earned runs or less. 3 of them, he went 6 innings or more. So I guess my question is, for all the struggles Texas is having, it's not like Arizona's playing winning baseball this year. Do you trust them? I understand the motivation, but the bullpen hasn't been good. The lineup hasn't been good. They're not a good team. Is this a team you're comfortable laying a price with here on the highway?
With the situation with Texas coming home, yeah, Teddy, they're not. And against most teams, probably be looking to fade them. But they have won 3 of their last 5 games, whereas Texas is on that 1-5 slide, actually 1-6 if you count the last home game for them. So this is a team that pick your poison. Which one do you want? Both teams are not scoring a lot of runs at the plate, but one team's got a pitcher that's sharp, and the other team is on a losing streak, and one team plays with a big motivational edge from last year. So we're getting it at a reasonable price. It's not like we're laying 140 or 150 on this game where you need to win the game 67% of the time. It is a small price. I'll go ahead and take it, and we're going for the full game in this one because the Arizona pitcher does go deep into the game, whereas Texas is going to tap into that bullpen. Both bullpens should be fresh, as both teams had a day off yesterday.
Marco D'Angelo joining us. Guys, Marco's packaged all his plays together for only $29 over at WagerTalk. Up huge profit since the start of the year. Marco, thanks for joining us, my friend. I will see you June 14th. You're going to be my drug mule or no?
We will see you on this trip, Prez.
Yes.
How did Teddy do? How did Teddy do last time, or did he fail?
Well, he did excellent. I'm very appreciative of him. Yeah, it was a great trip. It was a lot of fun. I'm coming down a bunch of times this summer, so it's going to be a lot of Las Vegas for me. I wish it just wasn't so bloody hot, but that's a different story. Marco D'Angelo, everyone. Teddy covers. I await your what did bettors learn?
Yeah, you complain when it's too cold. You complain when it's too hot.
All I do is complain, dude.
That's what we do, man. So I had a fun weekend. I had friends started pouring into town on Thursday. A bunch of guys that I went to school with at Michigan, guys I hung out with back in the 90s. I took Friday off from Wake Up and Win. I took Friday off from WagerTalk Today. And I posted plays on Friday, and I went 0-2, and I was wrong on both of them. And then I went to the Dead Show on Friday night. I stayed up till 4 in the morning. Saturday rolls around. What am I going to do for the clients? The answer is Absolutely nothing. All right. I'm going to enter a pass. And it was the same story Saturday. I ended up going to a day club on Saturday. I was at the Marquee Day Club at the Cosmo on Saturday with all the young and beautiful people. It was crazy. I did not fit in. And then, of course, the Dead Show that night. What was it, 3 a.m.? Entered a pass for Sunday. There's no way I'm getting up and handicapping. Yeah, Sunday, got a little bit of sleep. Afternoon and evening, sat down, went through the games that I missed, and then gotten back in action yesterday. A single bet, had the Pacers first half, got the W. Back, ready to roll. Look, we're all human. I'm a pretty boring guy. Every couple times a year, something happens, and I go out and have some fun. Sometimes life happens. You're allowed to have fun. I have precious little fun, and as Prez will tell you, I don't have that many friends. I had fun with my friends this weekend. I passed 2 days in a row. Period. Don't make bets, especially bigger bets, when you haven't done the work. Don't make bets, especially bigger bets, when you're distracted, partying, whatever. Sometime life happens. When it calms down, sit down, make up the work you've missed, and get going again. At least that's how I do it. Lawrence, back to you, my friend.
Teddy, I've known you for over 20 years. I'd like to imitate you having fun.
Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah, I thought so. Las Vegas, Cris joining us, and it's been a while. He is the $2 Tuesday handicapper, but most importantly, and let's start with, something way more important and serious than handicapping. Last we spoke, you put up a Twitter, you tweeted about your health, which at the time was not great. Could we get an update, please, on where you are health-wise?
Yeah, I appreciate you asking. I encourage everybody to at least look at the first 5 minutes of the posted video I have with my profile as the pinned tweet. It's called My Hardest Handicap. And basically, very important stuff involved in there that everybody needs to consider. What I have gone through health-wise, if I had not had insurance, would have cost over $1.4 million. So if you don't think health insurance is important for you, think again. And there's a lot more to learn from there. I consider myself a plethora of useless knowledge, and every facet of everything I've gone through along the way has been met with surprise and unexpected, moves and decisions to make. And I just think there's something of value for anybody. And I encourage people to at least look at the first five or 10 minutes of it.
Well, listen,
but I'm doing better. I've got a long recovery ahead of me, but I'm fortunate enough to be able to be here and endure that recovery, because the alternative isn't very nice.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to ask, was where are you at with your recovery? I mean, obviously, we're all cheering for you. So it's good to hear that there is recovery ahead. We're all praying for you, and we're definitely glad that you made time today to join us. Let's start talking some sports betting, and then we'll get into your $2 Tuesday play. Boston and Baltimore, you like over 8 on this play. Can you tell us why?
Yeah, I mean, when you look at this game initially, it looks like it would favor a low-scoring game. The metrics for Rodriguez and Bello are very good, but they're also due for regression. Both offenses have been hitting for power versus right-handed pitching over the last couple of weeks. Have high on-base percentages and the very top-level ISO metrics. And admittedly, I have a team that works with me. What the hell is ISO?
Teddy?
I don't know.
Do you know what ISO is?
That I worry about.
Okay. Yeah. I'm not afraid to admit I don't know something.
Whatever it is, their metrics are excellent.
3 and number 4 in the league. So I work with a team of people in all the sports a lot of the sports that I'm doing, and I'm always learning and building my knowledge base along the way. And in my notes, I saw an ISO metric I didn't know. And you can't be afraid to ask questions. You don't sit there and pretend you know everything. I'm willing to say, I don't know what this means. So Baseball is just very statistically based anyway, so it's a lot of dry numbers and such. But I've lost so many games with Baltimore this year. I know they've done pretty well, but their bullpen just blows up every time I have them, it seems, or I have the under. Their bullpen has not been running well. 1 out of 8, their K rate is 18.6. Their base on ball rate is 11.7. The Boston bullpen isn't even that much better. In fact, they're third worst in hard hit rate for the bullpens. They both give up runs when they inherit runners. I like this action because if there's a pitching change, it can only improve the ability of the over. So the weather's supposed to be good. We'd like the over in this game.
So the isometric is, and not isometric, but the isometric is a formula, sabermetric statistic that measures a batter's raw power by calculating how many extra base hits they average per at bats. And there's a little formula here if you want to look at, but it basically says how much power that any given hitter bats for. Again, it's not a statistic that I've ever come, not one that I use. And let me ask you about that, Cris, as a follow-up. When it comes to your handicapping of baseball, how much is advanced metric stats? How much is numbers? Is it all of it? Is it most of it? Is it a piece of it? I know you're not much of an eye test guy necessarily. So talk about your formula, your methodology in MLB for our audience.
That's in the evolving process because I do kind of think that there is a feel to baseball sometimes that you have to take into consideration. But we're primarily statistical based. And as you know, it's a lot of peaks and valleys, and whatever you're doing, you have to stick through it, and you have to go through your peaks and your valleys. But it's almost entirely stat based, and we're changing what we're doing based on the lineups each day. We're taking in and out a lot of little details. We're not just looking at the broad stroke sort of stats. We're applying who's playing that day and what the recent performance has been. And I'm trying to add market reading. And as you kind of referenced, Teddy, you kind of have to kind of know when teams are kind of feel like they're going to go on a roll. You got to kind of stay away from them, or you kind of sense that the team might not be playing well for a while. There's something that kind of hit them. Maybe you have to avoid them. And I think you have to factor that in a little bit occasionally.
Las Vegas, Cris joining us, everybody. And like you all know, if you watch the show on a regular basis, we have a handicapper every Tuesday, our $2 Tuesday handicapper. We take one of the hottest handicappers we have. We sell their featured play for only $2. If you've never bought a package before from WagerTalk, today is a perfect day. It's less than a cup of coffee. And Cris has got a big play up tonight, a very, very rare 5% play. And to give you guys perspective, Cris has had only 8 plays rated 4% or higher. 4% or higher, only 8 plays. He's 7-1 in those plays. This is a very, very rare 5% play. You get it for only $2. And as the board just said, Cris is also our number 1 baseball expert over the last 365 days. He's the number 1 MLB totals expert this season. And really just a guy that owns this sport and has on a regular basis. So head over to WagerTalk, take out your credit card, give us your $2. Cris will give you his 5% play, and the chances are very likely that it will cash and make you guys a bunch of dough. Cris, let's turn our attention to the Cubs playing the Brewers. Where are you going in this game?
We're looking for listed pitchers in this game. Both of these pitchers are in the top 25% with earned run indicators. I've got a little row of stats there that I'm not going to bore people with, but additionally, their combined whip on the season is 1.1, meaning they don't allow a lot of base runners. They're striking out more than 28% of their batters, which, boy, that seems really high. and they're walking fewer than 9%. The Cubs have been terrible versus batting wise versus right-hand pitchers over the last several weeks. They're batting .211. And they only have 27 extra base hits in the last 264 at bats. I mean, that's really bad. And they're backed by one of the best bullpens in baseball. It's kind of heating up. Milwaukee's offense has been above average versus right-handed pitching over the last 14. But like the Cubs, they are not hitting for power. So once Brown comes out, the bullpen should be able to finish the job. We like the listed pitchers under the 8 runs.
Under 8 for Chicago, Milwaukee, listed pitchers in that one, as opposed to the Orioles, Red Sox, where Cris, and I'm like you, Cris, there are games I'm going to list. There are games I'm going to list one. There's lots of games where I'm looking at action wagers. So you and I are in the same boat on that one. It's not always listed. It's not always action. It's case-by-case basis. You talked about your $2 Tuesday play for today. Of course, you can get Chris's rare 5% play. Again, 88% with those all plays 4% or higher. Anything else you'd like to talk about before we leave you, Las Vegas, Cris?
Not really. I think we have a little bit of an exposure issue just because of I was out of commission for a while, and our primary goal is to worry about what we're betting. So I like to look at it as I'm not selling picks. I'm giving people the ability to follow what I'm betting. I'm making money. I'm betting significant money on each of these games, and I'm hiring people. I'm working with people to create bets, not to create picks to sell. So there's a lot of days we don't have packages up because I don't have time, or the lines aren't going to be there. That's why it's important to kind of stick long term, because one day isn't going to do squat. It's a baseball in particular is a long term process. So we're just offering what we're betting. If you're interested, follow along. If we lose, we're suffering with you. If we win, we want to celebrate with you.
There we go. Las Vegas Cris, everyone. Outstanding segment. Still lots of show left. If you guys like what you're hearing, please take a second out of your day and hit that like button. It would be greatly appreciated. And subscribe to our channel. We have so much content on this channel. It's so good every day. Just one show after another. Incredible hosts, incredible guests. We work really hard to provide you guys with the best betting information we can on a daily basis. Please like our shows. Please subscribe to our channel. Teddy, your big game breakdown.
Big game breakdown. Let's go to the association for Tuesday night and take a look at a potential closeout game in Dallas. The Mavericks and the T-Wolves right now. Look at the WagerTalk Live odds screen. Mostly 1.5s for Dallas. There are some -2s out there. Total has been bet up this morning to 11, pretty much across the board for this game 4 showdowns. And look, the NBA Finals don't start until Thursday, June 6th. If you're a conspiracy theory guy, the fix is in. The league needs games. Well, of course, they could have another game tomorrow, game 5 in Boston, but the Pacers got swept but covered 3 times. Not like Indiana got the calls during crunch time with they wanting more product. So, clearly they want a game 5 in this series. All the money's for Minnesota, despite trailing 3-0. And Minnesota was in this spot last year. They avoided a sweep versus Denver in the first round. They dug deep. They hung tough. They sent the game to OT, and they won. That was at home, though. And then they covered in defeat in game 5, another close game, just like this series has been. This series has been extremely tight. Dallas has had the better end game. The Mavs have injuries. Luka probable. Maxi Kleber's hurt, although he's been upgraded to questionable. Derek Lively doubtful, and Lively matters. And the injury, the money from Minnesota certainly has something to do with the Kleber and Lively injuries. But in this series, what's been the undervalued commodity? Dallas and over. In all 3 games. All 3 games were tight. Dallas was able to execute during crunch time. Minnesota, not so much. What am I looking for in game 4? What's the undervalued commodity here? The exact same thing we've seen. Dallas and over. All right, we've seen 3 straight Dallas and overs. Is there value now the other way? No. the markets were short on those two items going into this series. Look, Minnesota, an elite defensive team throughout the regular season. They've done all kinds of different coverages against Dallas in this series. The best offense is beating the best defense. Minnesota's just 2-6 ATS their last 8 playoff games. Remember, they covered 6 in a row to open the postseason. They ain't covering anymore. I think their season ends tonight. Client play for me. Mavs money line. There you have it. Back to you, Mr. Prez.
Yeah, and guys, Teddy just gave out his client play, and Teddy is as good as it gets in NBA. One of the best NBA experts I've ever met in my life, consistently winning. So, yeah, thanks for giving that out, brother. Art DiCesare joining us. Yeah.
Sorry, I was just going to say we're on an 80% NBA run. We won 4 of the last 5. So
beautiful.
That's it.
Well, let's bring Art in and see what his opinion is right off the bat on this very game. Art DiCesare, how are you? Thank you for joining us. Let's get to it. Dallas, Minnesota tonight. I'm curious if you personally agree with Teddy. Dallas on the money line. If you have any other bets you would suggest, and what are you seeing at the books?
Prez and Teddy, it's obviously always a pleasure to be here with you guys. But, even last night, when these series are 3-0, even though we get to the end here, you just don't see a lot of bets come in. I mean, obviously we take some bets, but, man, it was pretty slow last night with the game. It's kind of that way with this game. Obviously, there was Minnesota support early with the, 3s and the 2.5s out there. Obviously, it's 1.5, 211. Teddy's right. Over money is obviously poured in, and we've seen a lot of that in the playoffs. Even though the game stayed under last night, that game shot up to like 224.5 and then really plummeted back down to like 222.5. But you see a lot of over support. There's been a lot of overs in these playoffs, so we definitely noticed that. Obviously, I want to let everyone know, too, with the Westgate, with these playoff games on sides, we like to put out 105s for the NBA playoff games. So that's something we're doing moving forward through, obviously, the rest of this conference final, and we've been doing, and the NBA final, so you'll have minus 105s on sides. I kind of lead with Teddy that, Mavs probably do close it out tonight. I think you'll get a really good effort out of Minnesota. Lively is huge for them. I mean, he's been so important for them. He does a lot of the dirty work, a lot of the stuff that doesn't end up in the box scores. I think if I had to lean somewhere in the game, I would lean over that.
Over the total, says Art DiCesare. Art, this, my friend, is what's known as a blank sheet of paper. This is known as a pen, and I am very interested in what you're about to talk about right now, which is the NFL. And yeah, we'll get to baseball in a minute. I understand it's not even June yet. But we teased it last week. Art wanted, Westgate's your book now is all the NFL numbers up. Odds to win division. All the season win numbers are up. Week 1 numbers are up. And we teased it last Tuesday saying we're going to talk about it on Friday and then I can do the show on Friday. So we're talking about it today. Absolutely. Week 1 NFL futures market. Art, take it away, my friend. I'm taking notes.
Yeah, Teddy, this is, everyone said, well, how can you talk about the NFL? The NFL's king, guys. We'll talk about the NFL any day. I know Prez sometimes shakes his head at it, but Teddy, the NFL, the information, the way people want to come in early on these markets, it's important stuff. We know the NFL moves everything. Let's start with season-long things. 4 team win totals that have seen the most action so far. Vikings over 6.5 minus 120. Haven't moved off the initial number yet, but that has seemed to attract a lot of over money. So the Vikings over 6.5. 2 more overs. 49ers over 11.5. We were as high as plus 130. Now we're plus 120. So seen good money there. Moved the market 10 cents. Now you're getting plus 120 on the over. Panthers, who were the worst team in the league last year. Total sitting of 5.5 over minus 120. You saw some support come in for that over the last, week and a half. We kind of feel like that was a release, maybe with one of the big betting services that saw the Panthers and liked their number at 5.5. And the biggest under on the board that we've seen the money come in on. Patriots under 5. It was flat minus 110 We're now sitting minus 120. So Patriots under 5. Divisions. The people, and listen, not really, they've seen support and they're all plus money. Eagles plus 125, second choice in the NFC East. Texans, obviously the leader in the AFC South, plus 120. And Dolphins, second choice in the AFC East, plus 200. They've seen support. Biggest yes to make the playoff support so far. Browns, yes, plus 165 to make the playoffs. So those right now are the biggest season-long props. Teddy, if you have a follow-up, I'm all for it, and I have some week 1 stuff as well.
You know I got follow-ups. I'm just writing down the Browns to make the playoffs. Yes, right here as to where the that sharp money's coming in. So let me ask you this. All right, it's just after Memorial Day weekend. We've seen that initial influx of money. Are these numbers? How long are these numbers going to sit here now? They're going to sit here through the end of July? Is it August that we start to see the markets move? Or if people want to bet these totals, is there urgency right now, or is the urgency already past us?
It's a great question, Teddy. And, just to take a couple of the team totals. Patriots 5, 5 flat. Now it's 20. You missed the 5 flat. Doesn't mean it can't get back there because there, maybe comes money on over 5 even money. Vikings 6.5 over 20 haven't moved anything yet with that. Haven't moved the juice. It's stayed there. So if you want to get in now on 6.5 over 20 with the early support, we don't always necessarily move. It just depends. If there's one guy on it and he's a sharp guy that we respect and, he comes in and makes a nickel or a dime bet, we're not going to necessarily have to say we need to move off the number because, it's the end of May. We know we're going to get a lot of money in the market. And obviously we look around and we see what everyone else is doing as well because, you like to just kind of keep an eye on what other shops are doing. But, Patriots, we felt we saw too many sharp guys come in, 3, 4, 5 guys take that under. So we thought, all right, let's move it to minus 120. We felt comfortable there moving it. Let's take an over bet if someone wants to get there. So obviously everything is a case-by-case situation.
So one of the things I've learned over the years is how the season win numbers correlate with the week 1 point spreads. And there is an absolute correlation between when the markets move on a win total, they'll move on the point spread as well. Have you seen that for week 1 yet with any of these? With Vikings, Niners, Panthers, Patriots? Have the week 1 numbers moved as well as the season win numbers? And are there anything else when it comes to week 1 numbers worth talking about right now for the NFL?
Now, that's a great question, Teddy. Not really on some of those teams that I've mentioned, but we have seen a lot of week 1 stuff come in. I had mentioned a couple of weeks ago when we had it out. We didn't have the full week 1 out, but I got to mention again the opening night game, which is Ravens at Chiefs, which is that Thursday night opener with the Super Bowl champs at home. We've seen a lot of Chiefs support early at 2.5 flat. We've moved to 2.5, 20. A couple of others, Jags at Dolphins. Jags were 3.5. Saw a lot of 3.5 come in. Obviously, with that 3.5, probably the key number now in the NFL is 2, but still a lot of people treating the 3.5 as their key number. So we've moved to Dolphins -3, -120 with all the Jacksonville support. And totals you're going to see move a point, 1.5, even 2 points. Vikings, Giants, perfect example. Had a total of 43.5. We're now 41.5. So you've seen a 2-point move to the under there. Atlanta at Pittsburgh. Not as strong of a move to the under, but still a move. Atlanta 43.5 with Pittsburgh on the opener. We've moved to 42.5. So you've seen a point move there. So no surprise that you're going to see some under bets come in on some of these totals that people feel might be a smidge too high, or maybe they're just shopping around and, they saw we have Vikings 43.5 and some people have 43. So you're going to see that as well. So we always keep that in mind.
Sure. And the moves that you talked about, especially those first two, when you talk about the 2 sides that got popped, Baltimore, Kansas City, and Jacksonville, Miami, the key number of 3 matters enormously when it comes to these first bets for week 1. And what you'll see bettors often do, you'll see the sharp guys laying 2.5 and taking 3.5. And that's certainly what we've seen so far with KC, Baltimore, and with Jacksonville, Miami. Great information. And again, I'm not going to bug you guys with we're not going to talk NFL every week. But when things happen and when there's market moves to consider, May, June, July, doesn't matter when it is, NFL is always king. Lawrence, let's talk some NHL playoffs.
Yeah, Art, look, interesting game tonight. No, I don't think a lot of people expected the Rangers to go in there and beat Florida last game, 5-4 in overtime. Great comeback by Florida. And also last night, look, this Dallas team on the road, 6-1, I think, this playoffs, just incredible road record. Where are you going tonight? And fill us in on what you think about tomorrow's Oilers game.
Two incredible series, Prez. I still think we're going to see long series. Like I said, I thought Rangers in 7. I still think Dallas in 6. Long series, competitive games. The games are a lot of fun. Obviously, Rangers on the road again, game 4, Panthers. Rangers up 2-1. Rangers steal home ice back, so very important game for Florida. We understand that. We opened as high as minus 166, 167. Seeing a little support on the Rangers, so we've moved down, 5-6 cents. Still Florida, a nice sizable home favorite at minus 160. 5.5 under 120. We were dealing 125 on game 3, but obviously with the outburst of goals, we're only going to give you even money now on the over 5.5. We're not going to give you plus 105 or plus 110. So we'll see that. Series has flipped again. Rangers now minus 150 on the series price. It was 155. We saw some plus 135 Florida money come in. I think it's a long series. I think Florida wins tonight. I think they force a big game 5 at MSG with the series tied. Oilers at Stars. I mean, the Stars are incredible on the road, and you just see how good they are depth-wise. Their depth is incredible. I think at some point we all thought the Oiler goaltending would bite them, and it did. Robertson was great last night. Give him all the credit in the world. I still think the Oilers will come out and fight. Basically the same line you have, Edmonton minus 128, for a game 4. Totals moved up. We had a game 3 total of 5.5. We're now at 6 under minus 120, because of some of the goals that obviously happened last night. Another, big game 3 where you saw a lot of unders early in these series. Dallas now sizable minus 230 favorite on the series price. And Dallas is now the strong cup favorite at plus 150 with everyone almost 3-1 or lower. The Rangers are plus 270. But you see Dallas now as the strong favorite to win the cup. And I actually think Dallas has a chance here to close it out in 5. I think they have a chance to win in Edmonton. I'm going to pick them in Edmonton in game 4. I don't love it because I think Edmonton will come out and play, but man, Dallas really found their game last night.
Art DiCesare joining us. Art, Teddy's going to ask you baseball. Before we get into that real quick, the Caitlin Clark effect. I know WNBA has just started, but are you seeing a higher volume of bets?
100%. I don't even think it's a question. And I think, too, when you're going to put out props for Caitlin Clark, every game she plays. WNBA teams play 40 games. We have props for all her games. I mean, if Caitlin Clark is playing and she's ruled in, there's not a lot of load management in the WNBA. Obviously, if there's an injury that happens, we'll keep on top of that. But every game that Caitlin Clark plays, 38, 39, 40 games, we're going to have props on her. And you see it. And listen, the WNBA has always been that niche sharp market where you can see totals overnight move 4, 5, 6 points. You've seen a lot of stuff early with her games. Fever getting 5.5, and then by the time you look, they're getting 8.5. Obviously, they just won. They're favorites tonight at home against the Sparks, who they just played. But they were 6-point favorites in that game. Now they're 4.5-point favorites. So still, the sharp bettors feel, that the money is to go against Caitlin Clark. And you've seen them go against her point total because she's gone under in all her point totals. So that's something to keep a lookout for as well.
You guys making money with those point totals? I remember when Tiger Woods, I was out here in Vegas for the Tiger Woods effect, where golf went from a sleepy little sport that the wise guys and the old guys bet to being this, monster for sports books. Does Caitlin Clark have that potential? Is this going to be a monster? Is WNBA going to be a monster for you like golf? Is this a legit Tiger Woods effect with Caitlin Clark?
Man, Teddy, that's a great question. I think there's a lot of factors to it. You can't forget the Aces factor. Obviously, the Aces are in town. They're very popular in town. They're the best team in the league. They're the 2-time defending champs. Listen, I work with a lot of guys who go to these games. Hey, I'm going to the Aces game tonight. Or, you've seen the growth in it. Yeah, and you've seen the growth in it. Listen, Jeff Sherman, my boss, huge Aces guy. Goes to a lot of games, brings his daughter. It's a big deal. And it's huge for us, too, because we get into the summer months where we just have baseball, limited soccer, obviously some tennis, a little bit of golf. It's great to have this WNBA now. We know the Sharps are going to bet it, but if we can get some public money, which we have seen come in, it's nothing but a win-win for us.
Arthur DiCesare at ArtDice21 on Twitter. He's an excellent follow. He's someone that is worth saying hi to every time you walk into the Westgate Superbook. And right now, he's going to tell us where the sharp money has come in MLB in early betting action for today. Final question, Art. Talk to us about the baseball card. Where's the money flowing and why?
Absolutely. Red Sox Orioles, despite all the runs yesterday, opened the overnight over 8.5, minus 115 to the over. Seemed under sharp money come in. We're now 8.5, minus 120. So a nice flip there. Reds, it's not a significant move, but Reds at home against the Cardinals on the overnight opened it minus 118. 6, 7, 8 cent move now. Reds minus 125. And the public all over these two, they're in all the parlays today. Padres short home price against the Marlins under $1.30, minus 128. And the Phillies, they're always a big price. Minus 210 against the Giants, despite the loss yesterday. They are in all the parlays today, the Padres and the Phillies.
Shout out to our Daniel son in the background. I don't know if you guys noticed that, but sheesh. Everything that came out of Art's mouth, the screen changed right in front of us. Good work, Dan. Art, what a pleasure having you on. Just awesome stuff. Every Tuesday and Friday moving forward. What do you have to promote?
As always, guys, the Westgate. And Teddy, I know you'll like this. We will get games of the years for college football coming out here pretty soon. We'll have win totals on that. And obviously, when we see sharp money come in on those, we'll be able to have, a nice segment on the college football and break some of that down as well. So keep an eye out on those, college football stuff in the next probably 2 or 3 weeks. Could be even earlier if we get our act together. But, I would say in the next 2 or 3 weeks. And listen, obviously, all the NFL stuff's up. Keep looking for more. We're still trying to put out more player props and more content. And, as always, if anyone has any questions, come down to the Westgate. You can ask for us, ask for me. You can ask for me on, DM me on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it. Always here to help, always here to answer questions.
Brilliant stuff, Art DiCesare. Thanks for joining us. See you Friday. Guys, I've got an NBA play going for tonight's game. I am on a 17-4 NBA run, 65% win rate over the playoffs. I had a winning day yesterday, swept my baseball. I've got 2 up for today, plus 1 NHL game. You can get that all in my all-access pass over at WagerTalk. That's it for the show. Theodore, my brother, I take the headphones off. It's shopping time for me. Take us home.
Thanks for watching. Enjoy the games. We'll do it again tomorrow. Same time, same channel. Enjoy your day. Cheers.